the weather outside is frightful. In the spirit of some of our contestants from season 26.
This is the second week in a row, but James not singing this season.
Well, I had to. If you all don't know me, but anyone who does know me, and Stephanie knows me very well, knows that I am a little kid when it comes to snow. And we are getting like our first significant snow in the Mid-Atlantic states region in years.
Yes.
So I'm very excited today.
Well, we had some last year. We did have some last year.
Significant.
No, we had enough that I was pulling that sled with my kids last year. Okay? Listen, my knees don't forget.
Welcome to the Picture Podcast. We are James
and Stephanie.
Here on the Picture Podcast, we are passionate about good music and a great vocal. We use the vehicle of NBC's The Voice to give you our take and our feedback on each contestant. Although we may come off a little pitchy at times, if you know what I mean, we'll always do our best to speak our truths with love, kindness, and respect. Yep. Now, we are done with the wonderful season 26 of The Voice, but like I always say, we would be remiss if we did not have our best ofs. Mm-hmm. So what Stephanie and I are going to do in the next several weeks until the next season begins, we are going to go through each round of The Voice and give you our favorites. Now, Stephanie kind of whipped me into shape in the fact that I'm going to tell on her that I thought this season started off a little slow for me, but then as The Voice always does for us, it always tends to not only pick up, but we get really excited by the end of the each round, and especially probably the back half of the blinds. Mm-hmm. So I told Stephanie when we got on today that I couldn't pick an order because all of these blinds were so special to me. And Stephanie said, you have to. So
figure it out.
Well, I'm going to figure it out as we go. So you all are hearing, not only is Stephanie hearing, but you all are hearing the order, and it's not premeditated.
Well, it sounds like so are you. It sounds like.
I actually am too. So, as always, we will give extra content on the Patreon side. Stephanie and I have also come up with an honorable mention or two for each round. So please subscribe to our Patreon page. It's just $5 a month, and you will get the bonus content and a little bit more, bad English, a little more sometimes sassiness or pitchiness, as we like to say on the Pitchy Podcast, and a little bit more discussion. And
you also get the full main feed episode early, along with the bonus content.
Of course, absolutely. Okay, so we got some stuff to break down. Now, Stephanie, before I begin, and I do want to let you know that my criteria, especially for this round, was based off of performances that really emotionally moved me.
We're on the same page. I was going to say the exact same thing.
No, you were. Well, of course you were, because that's just how the Pitchy Podcast goes. I mean, if you know us, Stephanie and I, sometimes when it comes to especially this format and this platform, our brains sometimes like meld, and it's just weird. We don't discuss it, but sometimes we are thinking the exact same thing. So that's why we started the podcast.
Right, exactly.
In my head.
Right.
So with that, let's jump right in, Stephanie.
Okay.
Do you want to go first, or would you like me?
I would love to go first. I will go first with my fifth pick for the best ofs of the blind. So my fifth pick was Mr. Moon. And they did Deeper Well by Casey Musgraves. That was our duet, our female duet.
Yeah, I forgot about them. Wow.
I went back. The first thing that I did when I came up with my list was kind of look back through my notes. And when I looked back through my notes, like I had like 7 stars next to them, next to the moon. It's so funny. I had like 7 stars next to a moon. But I remember just being so captivated by them. And I remember when The Voice first started introducing the fact that they would use multiple people, duets, trios, that kind of thing. And I remember like kind of being like not feeling it at first. And
Like,
then we
it
had
wasn't fair.
incredible, yeah, like it wasn't fair. And then we had like incredible groups such as Sorella and others who really turned the tide in my mind about that, based on the way that they were able to compose and construct and arrange their performances in such a way that was like we would call PhD level.
Yeah.
I felt like Mr. Moon was a duo that did that, the way that they were able to, number one, looking back on their blind, Michael Bublé took a long time to figure out that they were two people,
Two people.
which is such a ode to their level of blend and ear, because usually when we think of duet, we think of two-part harmony. We don't as much pay attention to unison blend. And they were so unified that Michael Bublé took a long time to figure out that it was two people when they were singing in unison. And then in this particular performance, the way they interwove their harmonies and their unisons was so cool, because it wasn't like you could tell. You know what I mean? It was so surprising how they would go from harmony to unison, still sounding like a beautiful blend. Um,
The
they
thing that
both,
I remember about them that was crazy, if I remember correctly, Stephanie, they hadn't been singing together for years and years and years, right?
that was another point I was going to make. They were friends. They had just like they were very new as a duet. They weren't family. And
No.
usually when we see these groups, a lot of them are family because it's so easy to harmonize with family, because you usually have a similar tone and it's easy to blend with people that you're that close to. These people, they just came together in a literal perfect harmony. And it was stunning. That was one of the things that I love most about them as well. They were a masterclass in doing a duet, or being a duo. They were a masterclass. Yeah, I just love them so much. So they were my number 5 pick for the blinds.
They were one of the ones that I remember we both agreed that it was a travesty that they went home early.
Oh,
Like,
it was.
we were just like,
Yeah, it
not
was.
fair, not
It
fair.
wasn't fair. Right.
I love it. I love it. I totally forgot about them. But I would definitely, if I remembered, I would definitely have had them on my honorable mention list. Yeah, they were
Mm-hmm.
fantastic. All right.
Yes.
So my first one, I'm gonna come in strong. Is Miss Frankie Torres,
Oh,
Magic.
Frankie. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Magic Man, by singing by the group Heart. Ann Wilson
Yes.
is the lead vocalist. I've talked about Ann many times. With people often sing alone. That's
Alone. Yeah.
the staple on Carrie Underwood,
Till
basically. Yeah,
now.
starting with Carrie Underwood, 20 some years ago when she won American Idol, she kind of was the first one to bring it to the shows and kind of
Yes.
give this song a renaissance, and
Yeah.
remind everyone how ridiculous of a vocalist Ann Wilson is. Um, so Frankie, the thing about Frankie is that she kind of made me think of another singer in Nene, from a
Yes.
couple of seasons ago. I had
Yeah.
that type of voice. It was that effortless singing. When
Yes.
going back to my notes, it's so funny, Stephanie. I forgot to mention this earlier. Another kind of measure I use as I was going back and re-listening to these is every blind that had like a red mark in YouTube, to show that I had listened to it many times.
Oh, okay.
I was like, okay, these are the ones, because Stephanie knows this about me. Like, I'll go back and listen to something over and over again if I love
Right.
it, if it does something for me. And I just loved her effortless singing. I loved also that the judges took a really long time to turn for her.
Too
But
long.
if you go back and watch Reba, because this is from Reba's era, like this music is from the early
Yes.
80s. So Reba just smiled like, yes, like she's singing my music. And
Yes.
then Gwen like started going, come on, like,
Yes.
and then Snoop was grooving, and they were all grooving, and I also I call it the Carson Daly effect. Carson, you all know, Carson doesn't get moved, but Carson was like this, like the whole time she was singing, and I was
Yeah.
like, yes, and I was like, give it to me, Frankie. Frankie was incredible.
Yes, she was.
And I'm probably going to be talking about Frankie in another round too, because not only did she do ridiculous this round, she did
Yes.
ridiculous in future rounds as well. So, Frankie Torres, Magic Man Heart is my number 5.
Yeah, she was excellent. She was excellent. She was definitely in my sphere as I was thinking about my choices for sure. Her performance was excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, so why don't you go for your number 4?
Okay. Number 4. Oh gosh. Okay. Number 4 and 3 can be interchangeable for me, but number 4 is Jameson Pickett. If I'm staying in the same genre of music, if I say Ann Wilson is probably the best female rock voice of all time, I would say Steve Perry is the best male rock voice of all time. So Jameson came offered faithfully by Journey. Frontman Steve Perry. Everyone knows he's the greatest rock voice of all time, probably next to Freddie Mercury. And I went back and looked at my notes, and I wrote, I have no notes. I remember even it happened again this time. I got emotional. Like I started to tear up when Jameson started singing, because he has a special anointing on his voice. And for those of you that maybe didn't watch the first time around, I said when God puts a gift on someone's voice, sometimes and a lot of times it'll move you and you don't know why you're being moved. You will just be moved.
Right.
He was a new dad, or either he was a new dad or his wife was about to have a kid.
She was expecting, her,
correct. And I just remember him saying the word family in the song. There's a lyric where it's family, and I just remember it was so pure. This offering was so pure. It was so just perfection of an audition. Probably one of the most difficult, but if executed flawlessly, as I feel Jameson did, it'll get 4 chair turns every time. And I remember him flipping into his falsetto, being just incredible. That this is another voice on this show, and if he did not, only because I think he was paired up with one of the best of this show, because his duet, if you remember, was with Shy, and I was like, well, what are you gonna do?
Right, exactly.
What are you gonna do? And I remember I wrote, I was privileged to get to hear a talent and a gift like his. So
1000%.
Faithfully, Journey, my number 4. Stephanie?
That's excellent. He was on my sphere as well. Definitely. I remember his Blind very vividly, and remember having a similar reaction as you did.
Jameson was also a sweetheart of a guy too. He
1000%.
reached out to us and said 1000%. Some beautiful, beautiful things. So 1000%. Jameson, we love you. We love you. We hope you're doing well.
Yes. My number 4 is a person you just spoke of. Shy. Shy. Superman, 5 for Fighting.
Yeah.
The minute she opened her mouth, I said, it's over. It's over, show. She's going to make it a long ways, because a voice that unique has to go far in this competition, or we just quit the podcast, because that's how special her voice was. This was a perfect song choice, not only for her voice, but for this Blind. because it starts off in this delicious place of her alto lowness, right? And it stays there for a minute. But then once you get to the bridge, that's when you hear her voice soar. You
Yeah.
hear the upper range, which is what these coaches I found are looking for. They
Yeah.
look for kind of where your foundation is, but they're looking for range. So often when people choose songs that don't show their range, it either prevents them from getting a chair to turn, or it causes them to turn their chair very late because they just don't have a good scope of what
Sure.
a person's voice can do. So I thought that this audition song did all of that for Shy's voice. And once she got up into that upper range, it was glorious. And when she got to the second chorus and she held out "It's Not Easy" in her upper range, it was freaking glorious. I was like, this young lady might have won the show, because she's going to keep picking songs like this. The uniqueness of her voice is going to continue to shine, and she's going to be undeniable. And
Yeah.
we saw as the season wanes where she ended up. Very interestingly enough, exactly where she wanted to be, at number 2 and not number 1. But this was a masterclass, especially for those alto singers, of how to use your alto low deliciousness, but also show your upper range as well. Shy Superman 5 for fighting, my number 4. It was fantastic.
And in anticipation of Shy aging and maturing, y'all remember she was 18 years old.
Yeah.
And the reason why Shy did not make my list, because I fought long and hard over this, is because she only got better. She only got better.
Yeah.
Like, it was crazy. And we all knew there were some of these folks this season. We knew the second they opened their mouth, it was going to be a deep run, and the competition was over, like we often say. All
That's
right.
right.
My number 3 is my Broadway baby. Balloons are deflated. Jeremy, Heartbreak Anniversary, Gideon.
Yes.
You gave it to us, Jeremy.
Yes.
That was another one. The second, like, Stephanie and I heard that like, because we knew the band was dialed in, right? And then we had heard Jeremy's story, like it was crazy. The interview,
Yes.
time to get into it, but Jeremy has come, like his testimony is crazy.
It is crazy.
I said, did this young man come on here and outsing Gideon? Like, took his song and took it to another level, because like he gave us that exceptional tone. Now, Gideon has a tone all his own, but Jeremy gave us Jeremy. And it was never known from this audition that he was a Broadway baby, right? That he was this.
I did. I could hear. Oh, absolutely.
And you know what, y'all? And that's crazy, because if you know, like, that's kind of my genre.
His lane.
Right. So,
oh, yeah.
So anyone that can fool me, I'm like, yo.
His voice is very round.
Yes.
Everything he says is very round. So that's what tipped me off.
It was crazy. But if you have a foundation like Broadway, like Jeremy has, you can sing anything.
Very, very true.
Including because Broadway has kind of taken a turn and gone more for popular type of music.
1000%.
Said, nah, like, no,
right.
More. I said, the thing that made it so crazy was the back half of the song, what he started to sing up into the stratosphere with his falsetto. I said, wait a second, Gideon can't do that, young man. I said, that's just crazy. Like, and he just started just wailing up in the upper part of his register and his falsetto. And I thought his falsetto was as developed as his chest and his head voice. And I was like, okay, this dude is not a dark horse. He's a front runner, because he had one of the most amazing voices of the season, in my opinion. So Jeremy, a Heartbreak Anniversary. Gideon.
Yeah. That was on my short list as well. Didn't quite make it. But here's what I love about this list. Just to say, I'm loving that we have a lot of variety so far, because
Right.
I was a little concerned that we wouldn't, but I love that there is some diversity within our lists. So my number 3 is Jose Luis. You betrayed me. Oh, traitor. This is what was interesting about this blind. This is one of the ones where Jose Luis was kept in the shadows for a minute.
Mhm.
So for us as the viewers, there was an element of not being 1000% focused on the vocals because you're trying to figure it all out. Who is this person? What do they look like? Are they going to get a chair turned? Yada, yada, yada. But it's very interesting in that I felt like he should have gotten a chair turned way before he actually did. And the coaches do not get to see anything, so they did not have they're doing the blind the same way. We were given a shadow, yet Jose still did not get a chair turn as quickly as I think that he would have, being that the coaches were in their same situation. Anyway, the first verse was flawless. He gave us holleration. He gave us range. He gave us growl. He gave us angst. He gave us control. The thing about Jose Luis that I loved in the blinds and throughout his tenure on the show is the amount of control that he brought to his performances, particularly in the performances where you could easily lose control due to the emotion that you needed to bring to the song. He was able to always find a balance to keep control but still give the angst and the energy that you needed. He also had beautiful nuance in the way in his delivery. Yeah, I
Remember
just wrote it should not.
remember they often said that how big his voice was. So the
It was a huge voice.
fact that I love that you're focusing in on the control, because as
Yeah,
someone with a pretty big voice, it's something you got to work really hard on.
absolutely.
To give you the new,
Absolutely.
to give you the colors, to give you the range.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. And he did all of that. He gave us holleration, but he also gave us the control and nuance within that audition. And it was an astounding performance. He's just one of those artists that is just like, you walk in and you're like, he's just gifted. Like there's nothing else to explain it, like that he is gifted. And it's undeniable. So he had to be my number 3.
I
Had to
love
be.
it. Love it.
Had
Love
to
it.
be.
All right. You're number 2.
So my number 2 is Sofronio Vasquez. I'm going down. Rolls Royce. Mary J.
Someone was dethroned. Wow, Stephanie, talk to me.
So, this was
How
one of
many times have we
this.
talked about this audition?
Well, exactly. Like you hear bump, 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 bump. You hear that bass, and you're like,
She said,
like you can do no wrong. You can do no wrong as far as I'm concerned. Like you have to be really, really wrong to do wrong once I hear that intro. And everything about Sofronio's performance was right. Everything was right. Even the slight melodic changes that he did. He took his time in some of the phrasing of the lyrics, and I loved it because it fit the angst of the song and it did not distract me from the original melody. Now, this is one of them songs, don't play with me. As much as I'm saying you can't really do wrong. You can't do wrong if you're just singing the song, but if you try to play too much, then you might strike out. But I love the way he was able to make these subtle melodic changes that just brought his flavor, his interpretation, his angst, and it just brought a realness and a personalization of the song as if he was singing this like it was his own song.
yeah.
And I loved that. There was holleration, there was range, energy, them runs. He was down, 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 down. I was like, this is where, yes, the charisma,
Yeah.
the confidence, and the soul. After Sofronio, I was like, y'all ain't got no better. Y'all ain't got no better. Now,
You
that
said
did
one.
not prove to
One.
As winner,
Winner,
winner, winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Like, we're all done. Why are we even doing any more blinds? Because I believe Sofronio he might have been like what? No, I believe he was night one of the blinds. As we will see later on, we did have a lot more talented people come through. But once I heard him, I said that might be my winner. He might be my winner. Coming with some Mary J. Rose voice. I'm going down and singing it down. Sofronio was my number 2.
Let me just piggyback. Sofronio was my number 2 as well.
All right.
But then I have to go back to my notes. I was off the chain with this. Stephanie, I don't know if you remember this. I was like, this is good until he opened up his voice towards the end. And he slowed his vibrato down.
Yes.
He said, and I talked a lot about, the desperation behind this song. And I talked about the context of this song and when the song was originally came out with the movie. And you can go back and watch the previous episode. But I said, that's when I got that desperation to hear in that song. And then I talked about, I was like, these doggone Filipinos coming with these voices of death. And, just culturally, music is so just interwoven in their culture. And I love it. And popular music at that, right?
Yes,
so,
yes.
Sofronio it was a flawless audition, and we talk about this, y'all. We haven't talked about this much this season, but often Stephanie and I, our foundation was song choice. You have to pick a song that shows your voice, shows that range. Stephanie talked about, where the judges or the coaches / judges at the time are looking for the range, the colors, are they as strong up top as they are in their lows? And Sofronio gave it all to us. He just threw it out on the stage and said, you're going to love me, you're going to pick me, and I'm going to win from day one.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, then I'll just go on because I have a feeling I think I know what your number 1 is. And you probably, if you've been following us, you probably know who my number 1 is.
I know.
My number 1 is Aaliyah with Love and War. Okay. Everyone knows I love this song. Everyone knows I love Tamar Braxton. I said, so I had to go back to my notes. And my notes say, this is Tamar Braxton, for heaven's sake. And I said, and looks how she brings you onto that stage. But in going back and watching, I said, what is it? I wanted to go about things I never talked about with this audition before. Aaliyah, and I'm not saying this to like, I'm trying to figure out a good way of saying this. I don't feel like Aaliyah was over-sexualizing herself in this song. But Aaliyah had this stance.
Woo, she did. In that dress, ma'am.
Stance.
Yes, right? She did.
She had like kind of her hip off to the side. The dress looked incredible. She looked incredible in it. She wasn't. She's not a skinny girl, but she's a beautiful, curvaceous girl. Woman, excuse me. And she was there to battle, and she wasn't even in the battles yet. Okay, Aaliyah came there to win that competition.
Yes, she did.
And she's like, I'm not only going to get a 4-chair turn, I'm going to get what was I going to say? I'm going to have these. I'm going to sing one of the hardest now songs in the in R&B music. Right?
Yes.
Love and War is one of the most difficult songs to sing today. Like that has come out in the last 10 years. And I just was like, you know what? Berklee College of Music,
right?
Who else?
There's a few of them.
There have been a few that have come through here that I'm just like, you can't. I don't know what they're doing up there in New England, in Massachusetts. but
Right.
I know some people have come through that program as well, and it's just top notch.
Yep.
Parajita, um,
Yeah.
it's just nuts. And
Yeah.
it's still to this day lives rent free. This audition lives rent free for me. One of the strongest auditions I've seen throughout us doing the Pitchy podcast. Stephanie?
She is my number one.
Absolutely. And
She
why?
my number one.
You got to refresh me as to how this audition made you feel.
I don't think that I fully appreciated it when I first saw it. I really didn't. It was everything she was giving with that full length, full covered dress, but it was giving. It was one of the
It
best
wasn't
fits.
over-sexualized, but it was sexy, right? It was
A sexy dress. I said this young lady came here to not play with none of y'all, okay? Vocally, image-wise, everything. Like she was ready to compete for this show. This is a perfect blind audition song that nobody should ever attempt. Because this is vocal suicide. Like you might as well just throw yourself off the daggone stage trying to do this song. This was a PhD level song, and she gave a PhD level execution of it.
Like truly. She aced her PhD.
Yes. Like the range of the song is stupid. And the fact that I don't know that she ever went into her, maybe a couple times, but she, for as rangy as it is, the majority of the song, she sang a full throat.
Remember that walk up at the end? She said, like she walked up that run at the end. I was like,
I nearly like watching it a couple days ago, getting my list together. I was cussing her out. I was like, this be like in the best way, Aaliyah. It's a stunning. It lives. I'm going through my house since I've watched this, and it's been refreshed. You stay at like the what rent free. Like nobody, even Sofronio, nobody's audition, nobody's blind could touch this. Because the level of difficulty, plus the level of execution, plus the image and visual that she was giving was 1000% professional. She should have never been on the show. She should be a multi-Grammy winning, multi-album made young lady already. Correct. She should have 6 albums with her 7th coming out soon.
Song could be written for Tamar Braxton or Aaliyah.
Yeah, exactly.
Either one of them.
Exactly.
That's how incredible it was.
Absolutely.
Wow, Stephanie. So our top 2 was the same.
Yeah, they were.
That's crazy. But it's like I knew who my top 2 were, but I guess mine was honestly Sofronio and Aaliyah could have interchanged, but then I was like, no. When I went back and watched it was from head to toe Aaliyah. Like you said, all the things you named, the look,
right,
the attack, the song,
right,
the vocal, the X factor, the gravitas,
yes,
the everything. So yeah. Again, someone who I think both of us thought should have gone way deeper in this competition.
Way deeper.
But we know that that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes on this show.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's it. That is our top 5. Now, like we said at the beginning of this episode, if you want to see our honorable mentions, our bonus content, and you don't want to miss it, because I have a feeling mine and Stephanie's honorable mentions are not the same.
Probably not.
Please subscribe to our Patreon page. It's just $5 a month, and you'll always get bonus content. You always get the regular content early.
Yes.
And we just might come off a little bit more pitchy in that content as well. So, everyone, thank you so much. Stephanie, please tell these folks what they need to hear.
All right, so don't forget to follow and subscribe to the Pitchy Podcast on your favorite podcast platform. And while you're there, please remember to rate and review the show so more friends can find us. And while you're listening, also check us out on YouTube. Search for the Pitchy Podcast and hit that subscribe button so you know when we drop a new video. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok for however long TikTok's available at the Pitchy Podcast for new episode alerts, episode clips, so much more. And like we've been saying, please remember that we are on Patreon. For only $5 a month, you can get bonus content. You can get the full episode early, and you can get other premium content from us. And we just told our Patreons that we are asking for suggestions about things that we can talk about, other content that we can make for you. We are looking to do whatever we can so that you feel like your $5 is worth it. So for more information on that, check out the Patreon highlight on our IG page. Check the Linktree link on our IG page for the information. And as always, information is right below in the show notes.
All right. So before I go, I do want to send a special shout out to my bride. Today is her birthday, January 6th, the day of the Epiphany, Three Kings Day. And so I love you, and I can't wait to continue the celebration. And Stephanie has a special birthday that she'd like to give a shout out to as well.
I do. My youngest, my baby boy, is turning 5 tomorrow. So happy birthday. Happy birthday. We love you. We're so proud of you. And I hope you get to go to school tomorrow, actually. We'll see.
Actually, they already called off. Here in the Mid-Atlantic states, when one county gets called off, the rest of them follow.
Oh, did they get called already?
Not yours, but the big county got called off.
Oh yeah. Well, mine might be following shortly, at least with a delay.
You as well.
Wow.
A little side note, you all. I saw this little man in church yesterday, and he is very excited about his birthday.
He's very excited.
His is actually very excited about his and her birthday, even though her birthday's in October, like mine. So, go figure. But
yeah.
Mommy had a little mommy day yesterday, so I saw the kids. I saw my honored niece and nephew yesterday, and they were number one, very excited about the snow day, and number two, very excited about his birthday. So,
yes.
Hey, nephew.
Happy birthday to your lovely wife, who I'll be texting as soon as we get off of here. Bye-bye.